chance and tells him he doesn't really know what her family is up to. She explains that her family has multiple penthouse branches at the Demon Sea base, so he doesn't need to worry about Yu because her family will take care of her. She gives him a confident smile and a cheerful wink. After hearing this, Ye Tian says he is ready to go to the secret land with her. Yueling agrees and tells him it's a deal, warning him not to change his mind again as she clenches her fist and looks at him. Ye Tian thinks this is a good way to save a lot of money. The maid asks everyone for their opinion and explains that the Demon Sea base is about 1,860 miles away, so they can either get there as soon as possible or take a slower route and enjoy the scenery. Yueling and Ye Tian answer at the same time that both options are fine. The maid is amazed and asks how they managed to say the same thing at once, which makes both of them blush as they look away in opposite directions. Yu says she prefers the slower option because she wants to see more of the outside world. They all agree to her request and head to sleep. The next morning they continue their journey and encounter giant monsters along the way, like a giant and a giant octopus. After 3 months of travel, they finally arrive at the Demon Sea base. The captain of the ship announces that they have finally arrived at the Demon Sea base and asks the passengers to disembark in an orderly manner. The group gets off the ship and heads into the bustling market. Ye Tian remarks that this base is several times larger than the Seaward base. Yueling agrees, saying it is indeed much bigger and even divided into different areas because of its size. Suddenly, a car screeches to a halt right in front of Ye Tian and Yueling. The driver steps out, opens the back door, introduces himself, and says he is from the penthouse branch at the Demon Sea base, welcoming Miss Yueling. Ye Tian looks amazed that this base even has drivers, which tells him they must be filthy rich. Yueling asks the maid to take Yu to the penthouse so she can rest, and both of them get into the car. Ye Tian bids his sister goodbye and tells her to take care, promising to meet her at the penthouse. The driver then drives off with the maid and Yu, leaving Ye Tian and Yueling behind. Yueling ties her hair back and says it's time to carry out their plan. They head toward a place where a huge crowd has gathered, and a chopper flies overhead. They see many common martial artists, most there just for fun since there aren't enough martial masters. Suddenly, an old man notices a space crack appearing in the sky and shouts about it as a small hole opens up overhead. Ye Tian looks at the hole in the sky and says it's too tiny for any human to fit through. Yueling tells him to be patient because someone will arrive soon to expand it. After a while, a man floats down from the sky, causing everyone's jaws to drop. It's Emperor Yun Ho, a powerful emperor-level martial artist from the Yun family of the Demon Sea base. Yueling explains to Ye Tian that he is an emperor level, which means he has the power to levitate in midair. Ye Tian thinks to himself that an emperor level must be any rank beyond a grandmaster. It surprises him to see an emperor-level martial artist here at the Demon Sea base. Curious, he wonders how Yun Ho will expand the tiny hole in the sky. Yun Ho pulls his hand out of his pocket and smiles menacingly as his finger begins to spark with electricity. Suddenly, a huge flaming finger appears above Yun Ho as he pushes it right into the center of the tiny hole in the sky. Cracks spread across the hole until it shatters into pieces, making the opening large enough for anyone to enter. The crowd cheers, amazed by his incredible power. However, Ye Tian watches closely and uses his ability to check Yun Ho's talents. It turns out Yun Ho has a supreme level of cultivation talent and a primary level of spatial talent. Ye Tian realizes that a talent can be higher than top level, and that level is called supreme. He raises his finger and thinks to himself that if that's the case, it would be best for him to copy those talents. The announcement comes through the speakers, telling everyone that the gate to the secret realm has opened, and they should be ready to enter within 5 minutes. The crowd cheers for Emperor Yun Ho and says their farewells as he walks through them. Ye Tian thinks about the spatial talent Yun Ho has and wonders what secrets it holds. However, since he can't copy another ability yet, his only option is to wait for another chance. Yueling gives Ye Tian a spatial bag and a wristwatch that tracks the user's location. She tells him to keep these items with him because they will be useful in the secret realm. She explains that once inside, it's unpredictable where they will land, so they must regroup quickly if they want to survive. She adds that they have to leave within 1 month or else they'll be stuck there for 10 years. Ye Tian puts on the watch and says he understands. Just then, Yue Chao approaches from behind and mocks Ye Tian, calling him the weakling sister Ling invited to the secret realm. He tells Yue Ling that Ye Tian doesn't seem strong enough to be a martial master and might be tricking her. Yue Ling tells Yue Chao to show some respect since Ye Tian is her friend, but Yue Chao says nobody from a small place took away his brother's spot, so he can't respect him. Ye Chao taps Ye Tian on the back, calls him a wimp, and walks away after warning him not to cross paths with him in the secret realm. Ye Tian, with a poker face, asks Yue Ling if Yue Chao has always been this bold. The announcer then declares the gate officially open and wishes everyone a fruitful journey. Multiple martial artists leap into the hole, and Yue Ling and Ye Tian get ready and follow. As they travel through the gate, Ye Tian's sister silently prays for his safe return. Once inside the secret realm, only Ye Tian is visible because, as Yue Ling said, they have spawned in different locations. Ye Tian falls to the ground after landing but quickly gets up. taking in the eerie blood moon and strange atmosphere around him. He begins walking toward a castle ahead and steps on a flower. He picks it up and realizes it's a 100-year ginseng. Looking around, he sees many more of them, which shocks him. Ye Tian smiles happily as he declares that he is rich now. He pulls out his spatial bag and begins gathering all the ginseng around him. With one smooth sweep, every ginseng plant on the ground is sucked into his bag. He thinks to himself that if Ye Yu, that money grubber, were here, she would definitely faint seeing how much ginseng he's collected. After finishing, he continues walking toward the castle. Along the way, he finds the corpse of a martial hunter and figures the person was attacked just as they entered the secret realm. He reminds himself to stay cautious here, or he might end up the same way. Suddenly his watch starts beeping and shows Yueling's location. She's under attack by a horde of enemies. Understanding she's in danger, Ye Tian rushes toward the spot on the watch as fast as he can. Meanwhile, Yueling is on her knees, looking up at the goblin monsters swarming her while thinking about Ye Tian. The big-headed dwarf-like goblins ready their weapons and charge to attack. Ye Tian arrives outside another castle, which looks like the same one Yueling is in. She gets to her feet, readies her sword, and breaks the club of one goblin, but it doesn't help much because another goblin attacks her from behind. This makes her drop her sword and shiver in pain as she sinks to her knees, looking up at the goblin who just attacked her. Terror spreads across her face as the goblin raises his club, ready to finish her off. She closes her eyes and calls out to Ye Tian in her mind. Just then, Ye Tian arrives and kicks the goblin square in the face, breaking his teeth and sending him flying. Standing protectively in front of Yueling, he tells her to rest easy and leave everything to him. Drawing his weapon, he rushes at the remaining goblins and slashes them apart. One goblin tries to sneak up behind Ye Tian, thinking he is clever, but is met with a powerful punch to the jaw that breaks it and sends him flying as well. Ye Tian continues taking down the goblins while Yueling watches, thinking that with Ye Tian here, her father's wish from all those years ago might finally be fulfilled. After finishing off the last of the goblins and securing the area, Ye Tian returns to Yueling and asks how, if her power is enough to kill these weak demons, they managed to harm her so badly. She explains that it wasn't the goblins but a powerful enchanted python that caused her trouble. This python was a high-level magic beast gifted with deadly eye techniques. She gets up and explains that she managed to escape the python by using a secret technique, but right after that, she was ambushed by the goblins. She tells Ye Tian that the secret realm is full of precious treasures, but it also comes with great risks. She warns him that this is just the beginning and that even bigger challenges lie ahead. Yueling takes out a health potion and drinks it, then sits down to meditate and heal herself. Ye Tian notices how much she knows about the secret realm and asks if she also knows where the most precious treasure is hidden. He inquires about the location of some heaven and earth treasures as well. While continuing to meditate, Yueling tells Ye Tian that the most valuable treasure in the secret realm is the primordial Qi-stone vein, but that treasure has already been targeted by the Yun family. Ye Tian asks if that is the same Yun family Yun Ho belongs to, and if she is after the same treasure as them. She denies it, saying she is after the treasure her father left behind, which surprises Ye Tian and makes him ask about that treasure. She explains that 20 years ago, her father entered a secret realm and discovered an incredibly rare heaven and earth treasure, but it was guarded by a beast with teleportation abilities, so he couldn't obtain it. She goes on to say that according to her father, the beast has middle-level spatial magic and is a very dangerous magic beast. Ye Tian thinks it over because even Yun Ho only has a primary level of spatial talent, but this monster possesses middle-level talent, which is a must-have for Ye Tian. He bites his lower lip and shivers with excitement while Yueling finishes healing herself. She stretches to loosen up and prepare for what's coming next. Once she's ready, she tells Ye Tian she's good to go. Ye Tian asks about the treasure those women have been so obsessed with, and since he's now her partner, Yueling decides to share the secret with him. She explains that the treasure is called the Heavenly Soul Flower, a heaven and earth treasure that can elevate a person's cultivation talent to the very top level. Simply put, it's a flower that can create a genius. One heavenly soul flower is enough to make someone a top grandmaster, powerful enough to dominate places like Linhai Base. She adds that this flower isn't just something she needs. Ye Tian and Ye Yu need it too. Since Ye Tian has already surpassed the top level of cultivation, he doesn't need it, but Ye Yu definitely does. Ye Tian asks how many of those flowers there are. Yueling replies that 20 years ago, there were 10 of them, but since it's been that long, some might have been lost, or maybe even grown. She tells Ye Tian that one of the biggest taboos in treasure hunting partnerships is unevenly dividing the rewards, so she's willing to split everything evenly with him. In return, she expects Ye Tian to give his all when it comes to killing that beast. Ye Tian agrees, and they seal the deal with a high five. After a while, they start heading toward the treasure with Yueling leading the way. Ye Tian asks if she really knows where it is, and she tells him not to worry and just follow her. Ye Tian thinks to himself that even though heaven and earth treasures are valuable, his priority is the spatial magic. He asks Yueling if his father has been hunting that monster for 20 years. Then maybe he must have had a plan. Yueling agrees and hands him a device called a formation plate, forged by a formation maker her father hired for a large sum. The pattern on it is called the air band formation, which significantly reduces the effects of teleportation. Yetian remarks that it seems even teleportation can be countered, and Yueling confirms that it definitely can. She goes on to explain that every force in this world has a counterforce. Nothing is truly invincible, it's just that some haven't found their natural enemy yet. Yetian wonders if that's true, then who could be the natural enemy of his talent? Yueling warns him not to assume the formation plate is perfect since it only works within 800 meters and lasts just 3 seconds. She explains that her original plan was to use the formation plate, launch her secret technique, and coordinate an attack with Yetian. But since she already used her secret technique to escape the python, she can't use it again for a while. Still, they can't delay the treasure hunt any longer, so they'll have to adapt and come up with a new plan to take down the beast. Yetian reassures Yueling that there's no need to say more, he'll give his all to eliminate the beast. Yueling smiles at this. After a while, she suddenly stops by a giant crater on the ground. Yetian asks why she stopped, and she replies that they have arrived at the location as they both stand at the edge of a hill. Yueling looks down at a cave and asks Yetian if he can see it too. She tells him that the heavenly soul flowers are inside, along with the spatial talent beast. Yetian asks if he should make the first move and attack the beast, but Yueling tells him to wait because setting up the formation takes time. Once the formation is ready, they can lure the beast out. The beast sleeps inside the cave but is instantly awakened by their presence and teleports behind Yetian, catching him off guard. Floating above both Yetian and Yueling, the beast looks down on them. They both turn around and realize the beast has discovered their position. Yetian orders Yueling to get the formation ready while he keeps the beast occupied. She agrees and leaves to prepare her formation magic. The beast immediately appears before Yetian and slashes his chest and shoulder. Yetian looks at the wounds and thinks spatial magic is no joke. Its teleportation talent sets it apart from regular speed. The beast smashes Yetian into the ground before flying back up. Yetian finally shakes off his daze and prepares to fight. He gets up, uses his healing talent to mend his wounds, and draws his dagger. Meanwhile, Yueling sits a safe distance away from all the chaos, focusing on preparing her formation and thinking to herself that it's almost ready, just needing a little more time. The beast floats in the sky as Yetian gets up and watches it rush toward him. Just as it's about to reach him, it vanishes and reappears behind him. Yetian quickly shows his agility by jumping away and dodging the attack. The beast growls and charges again, aiming directly for Yetian's face, but he blocks it with his dagger. They trade blow after blow, neither able to land a perfect hit. Amid the fight, Yetian checks in with Yueling about the formation. She tells him she needs only 3 more seconds to finish. As those seconds pass, the beast senses something is wrong with Yueling, disappears from Yetian's side, and moves to attack her. But Yetian has other plans. He kicks the beast hard in the jaw just as it's about to strike Yueling and disrupt her formation. The formation is finally ready as Yueling activates the airspace seal formation. This technique creates circles above the monster that press down on its body, pinning it to the ground in one spot. Yueling breathes a sigh of relief and says the formation magic has finally been completed. The beast uses its gigantification talent, bulking up its body and trying to break free from the formation. The formation plate starts to crack as its time runs out. Yueling tells Yetian to take his chance now before the plate breaks and the beast escapes. Without wasting a second, Yetian draws his shadow sword and slices the monster's face clean in half with a single strike, ending its rampage instantly. Yueling is surprised by Yetian's power. The formation plate finally shatters, and Yetian picks up the broken pieces, remarking how it's a shame such a good treasure can only be used once. Yueling runs up to him, shouting for him to speak up and asks if he was hiding his true strength because he took down the escape bat so easily. Yetian nervously explains that the bat was fast, but once it grew bigger, it became an easy target, and the formation was what really helped him take it down. He tries to change the subject by pointing out the flowers, saying it's best to check on them first since they're the real priority. Yueling looks at him with an annoyed expression and says she'll interrogate him later. She runs toward the cave, hoping there are still some flowers left. Otherwise, she won't be able to explain anything to Yetian. Meanwhile, Yetian uses his spatial bag to absorb the escaped bat. Yueling finally finds the flowers, and to her relief, all of them are still there. She counts them and sees there are 8 in total, which means she can split them evenly with Yetian. She sits down and starts plucking the flowers, feeling lucky. Yetian stands behind her, waiting patiently as she gathers them, and notices a familiar scent in the air. Yueling hands him his share, and he stores the flowers in his spatial bag. Yetian's nose twitches as he realizes this scent is the same one Xiaojin followed when leading him to the spiritual fruit. He tells Yueling there must be another treasure nearby and begins searching. Yueling reminds him that they already have the heavenly soul flowers, and it's time to leave. But Yetian is determined to find the other treasure and tells her to go ahead if she's in a hurry. He will catch up soon. Yueling warns him to be content with what they have, as greed is a dangerous taboo when it comes to treasure hunting. Ye Tian says nothing and keeps looking. He eventually notices a small patch on the wall, strikes it with his fist,